Serious, what's something that mentally and or emotionally broke you? Attention. Serious tag notice. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. This happened to me only they put me on loads of painkillers and told me I had to have my appendix removed and I consented because I was alone and high and assumed that was correct. Woke up from quite traumatic surgery only to be told oops it wasn't your appendix, it's a bacteria. It was months of agony and not eating before and then weeks of healing from surgery, sad face. Now I have medical anxiety and don't get things treated in time. A breakup after a decade-long relationship and losing my job a couple of weeks later. 2020 was definitely tough. But we made it to the other side. Same boat with the breakup, just shy of 9 years together. Now I'm single at 30 for the first time in my adult life and not adjusting well. First time living alone and with no close friends, it's pretty hard some days. Trying to find myself and better myself, it's not been all bad. I've lost about 20 pounds, got a new haircut and better clothes, my apartment is decorated better than our house ever was. I'm just glad we never got married or had kids. Selling a house was hard enough when he was too wrapped up with his new man to bother putting in any of the work. I feel you, friend. I was furloughed my long-time job due to the pandemic, decided to work 3 other jobs just to keep me and my then BF afloat. 7 days a week 10-14-hour days. My BF was one of the few that kept his job though hours were cut. I paid 70% of everything so we had a roof over our head. Almost got hospitalized for exhaustion only later to find out on Thanksgivings that he was cheating on me with a co-worker. Huiach explains why he doesn't come home on time. It broke me that I went really dark several times. I wasted my years on this man. He doesn't even want to touch me and I cried and begged for his love. I have abandonment issues due to being the black sheep of the family, so this broke me hard. Thankfully I got my old job back and resigned from the other 2 for sanity's sake. Broke up with him and I'm just barely picking up the pieces. Death in the family. Wasn't in the car accident, but it really messes with my head to think about how I said for them to have a great day then for them to just be gone no less than 24 hours later. I was actively suicidal and had recently attempted suicide. I was sitting in my bed with my mother, and she looked me in the eyes and told me that she wasn't going to play my game anymore and said that I was purposefully manipulating her and was hurting myself to hurt her. It absolutely destroyed me. I used to love my mother unconditionally. I thought she was the best mother ever and that I could trust her no matter what. It was like she hung the moon and stars. My relationship with her has never been the same since she said that shit to me, and I don't think I can ever get over it. Being the subject of bullying from kids and abuse from teachers at school, then my dad acting like it was my fault. This triggered memories in me I must have buried for years. All those times of being compared to other people, knowing that I'll never be good enough, so giving up on ever trying. Even now I'm like, well, a real man wouldn't blame others for their behavior. Same, in grammar school. And my bully manipulated me into thinking she was my best friend. But behind my back she told people I was her lapdog because she made me tie her shoes, get her water in her own house. I was at her beck and call. Purposely left me out of things to make me feel bad. One time she and another girl pretended there were bugs in my hair and I was so freaked, so they asked if I wanted them to just cut them out because they wouldn't let go of my hair, so I said yes and they cut my hair multiple times. Turns out they were just putting small leaves in my hair. After a horrible workday of being injured and being abused by my manager at the time, I took a lethal combination of pills. I didn't know this is basically a death sentence, Xanax and oxycodone for the pain. Thought why not, I'll have a little wine too. That tiny bit of wine got me in a state where I swear I was speaking tongues and doing weird shit with my hands. I no longer had thoughts, just basically my inner voice in what sounded like an empty room with a booming echo. I tried going to the bathroom and just collapsed on the floor. Didn't know it at the time, but I was dying of a drug overdose. The chilling part was how peaceful I felt, like I could just have the best sleep of my life if I closed my eyes. I don't know what it was, but I think my will to live started kicking in with two vivid images. I pictured my mom finding out her 30-year-old daughter died of an accidental overdose, and I couldn't stand for her not only process that news, but this was not the way I wanted to go. The image of me just being lifeless on some cold tile floor, smeared makeup, and no time left, no way. My boyfriend, now fiancé, came in at the point I was slowly starting to get up, and he burst into tears, and held me in a way I'm convinced healed me. Fucked me up for a long time. I avoid opiates altogether now. Xanax and alcohol, never combine. Seeing my mom and dad fight every day, and not divorcing. The most heartbreaking was when I saw my dad crying while my mom was screaming at him during an argument, and I had to intervene and hugged him and got him some water to make him stop crying. Wiping tears off my dad's face broke my heart that day. And then went to my mom to do the same. That was actually the first time I ever hugged my mom, and my dad. And that was to stop them from arguing while both of them were crying on my shoulder. Sad. During another argument when my mom went to sleep constantly crying, I woke up next day while she was praying loudly, and still crying, and I touched her shoulder and she freaked out. And started acting like a mentally ill patient, screaming and crying and physically pushing us aside as if she was scared of us coming closer to her. I guess either she was exaggerating, she does that a lot, or she was actually deeply traumatized by that particular fight. My life is filled with even more traumatizing events, but these are the most recent ones. Edit. It's so heartbreaking to know so many people were robbed of their childhood because of the bad relationship between their parents' broken heart. Please feel free to reach out if you ever need anyone to talk to. Sending you hugs. Went to my dentist of 15 years for an annual checkup. He inexplicably disfigured my upper incisors. They've been shredding my mouth for months. Tanked me straight into a deep depression. I feel you so much there. But my dad was just alcoholic, so my mom acted like he was a monster. I was taught to look after my mom. Everyone in my life, from my sibling to my teachers and psychologist at the time, told me to look out for my mom. Nobody was pulling me out of that, even though I heard it since I was a toddler. They also argued when I tried to get to sleep, which is probably where my insomnia comes from. They argued for hours on end, every day. They only stopped when I dropped out over it, and a couple years before COVID they started going at it again. Never should have been together. They have no hobbies, friend, etc., so they fill their days with that. Well, my dad works half the day and my mom doesn't even have a job. I think something will always be wrong with me, and it's really awful. I can't trust my own parents, or family in general, but I'm improving and healing piece by piece. I hope you're okay and can do the same. It's natural to be scarred by that. It sucks. Important to remember your own progress, and good that you have the capacity to look back on it like this. Stay safe, internet stranger. People think that parents stick together cause they love their child. No, they don't. The sooner people realize this, the more hope there is to get the child out of the situation. I still got 2 years to college, but it will be a while before I can set real boundaries. My house caught fire when I was sleeping and I saw my baby's crib go up in flames. He survived, but it fucked me up hard. Edit. This comment blew up. The fire was a freak accident started by a damaged electrical cord on a humidifier. My boy is 7 now and other than his scarring, is a happy, healthy, and awesome little dude. If you're feeling brave, here's a picture of his crib the next day. Lastly, we survived thanks to a working smoke alarm. Check yours today. It could save a life. I dated a girl who was one of those unlucky kids where her house burned down on Christmas Eve. Instead of saving pictures or keepsakes, her father ran back in to save 3 garbage bags full of marijuana and was arrested by the police when the fire truck showed up. He did 10 years in federal prison. She hated Christmas after that and would always speak about her lost baby photos with a lot of sadness. I really felt bad for that girl. As a mother of 2 toddlers, this is my nightmare. I lie awake at night sometimes rehearsing how I will grab the kids and get them out of the house if there's a fire. Not getting the proper medical attention I knew I needed / not feeling heard by medical professionals. I had a horrific case of food poisoning, Campylobacter, which is actually fairly common but presented abnormally in me. ER doctors and urgent care kept telling me I was probably just pregnant, which there was no way at that time for that to be possible. Begging for tests to be done but being denied because I was probably pregnant. I couldn't eat or drink anything because I would immediately start cramping and faint. This went on for a week before I found an ER that did a CT scan and tests and discovered the bacteria. I thought I was dying. Did they do a HCG test to confirm you were pregnant? Sounds malpractice-ish to me. If they didn't do that and didn't provide care, cause probably pregnancy. I'm a doctor, no shot I'd ignore someone fainting. That is serious. We don't ignore fainting, especially if it happens multiple times. Also, if suspected foodborne diarrhea, we usually don't treat due to concerns for worsening it or manifesting secondary issue. Seems like your symptoms lasted more than 4 days, that's about the timeline we get concerned and do more of a workup if symptoms don't resolve. It is weird they didn't verify you weren't pregnant and do a full workup. Especially cause the hospital makes money on labs and imaging, not paying a DR to see you. Sometimes it's also the shitty healthcare system we have now that is all corporate medicine, meaning some dickhead MBA telling a doc they have 9 minutes per point cause $, and not allowing us to actually provide better care. Also, usually urgent cares are run by mitral vels. I'd just avoid those altogether and go to my PCP or ER at a hospital anyway. I hate seeing patients who go to the urgent care and let things progress to the point they have to get admitted. Regardless, I'm sorry you weren't heard. Whether it's a person or system error, it sucks. I hope you get better care in the future.